Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up Bastion service in Microsoft Azure. So I logged into the portal of Azure and here I can click on create a resource. Alternatively, I usually use all services option and then I will just type in here Bastion. So let's see if there are any results for that. So as you can see, a lot of users will find that this service seems to be accessible through your option of, let's say, networking. Then we will take a look at passions, right? Some of the time what happens is that within search it won't immediately show up. So I will go to networking, then passions. Currently we don't have any, so we'll click on create. Now here we will have to set everything up from scratch. So let's start with free subscription, then choose resource group, then let's name this Bastion as Dev Bastion, right? Then region by default is West India. If you pick any of your specific region, you can go with one allocated to you. Then let's choose basic tier where instance is limited to 2. If you want more instance, you can add that up. Then here I can pick the virtual network. If there isn't any, I can create from scratch. So it will open a drawer where, let's see, I name this VN Dev Bastion, right? And we have address spaces, so we will go with default, click OK. Okay, so here you see it has to be prefix of at least 26, so we can now we made the changes related to virtual network subnet that contains Azure Bastion subnet and prefix of at least 26. So I can, let's see if it applies. If not, we can move ahead. So here we have our subnet and VM set. Then we choose the public address, and now let's move to tags. Here we can add tags and then click advanced, where I can choose between all the options, but some of them are grayed out. So we will just move to review and create. Here everything will go through validation. Now I can click on create now that it has passed the validation. Now let's wait for it to deploy. Okay, now that we have deployed the Bastion, okay, now next thing is going to the Bastion's dashboard. So here you see everything related to subnet, IP address, and you can also take a look at what we have in sessions. So if we click on sessions, and currently there isn't anything because we have to connect with VM for this, right? There are properties and configuration to check as well, just in case if you want to check the tier, right? Currently we are on basic. Now let's take a look at what we have, right? So here let's say we have sessions where it will be monitored along with your IP address. Now what we will do is we'll go to our VMs. So if we click on virtual machine and click on existing virtual machine here, so I will try and connect this through Bastion. So click on connect and let's pick the Bastion option, right? And here you can see use Bastion option, and it will allow you to deploy Bastion for this particular VM, right? And once you do that, you can run from your browser, right? As you can see, you already got the subnet and rest of the resources will follow, right? And considering this is specific for this Bastion, can also take a look at if you have multiple VMs, can get them in your Bastion list. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the Bastion that is being created for one of our existing VM. Right, so let's take a look at that. Now once you deploy, you have option to use username and authentication type password or SSH private key from local file. That is one more option, right? So you can use your keys in that case if you already have one. Alternatively, you can also add the password. So let's say if I choose SSH private key from local file, let's say that file is in one of my cloud folders, so Nginx, I will pick that up. It must start and begin with this, that means it requires the PEM file. Now it will let you access it. User is Azure user, so nothing fancy about it. Now I can simply click on connect, and on the next tab you will see it will be loading that Bastion instance. So it will feel like your typical server being run from the browser. Here you see, let's see if I type in things like lsp underscore release, then -a, and you get the operating system details and everything you wanted to do related to your operating system. Now you can do it from the Bastion itself, right? So all the commands, everything just work like your typical desktop or server in this case, and service is much quicker to use compared to what we have like PuTTY or even for, let's say, using any third party like RDP or so. All you have to do is just set up Bastion and you are good to go. Now if I want to exit, I can typically close this tab, or alternatively I can use just exit and it will get me out of that. It will tell me whether I want to reconnect or I want to close. So I will go with close and it will return me back to this particular Bastion from my VM's dashboard. And so everything works and we managed to set up a Bastion. We also managed to connect one of the Linux VM for its connection. Okay, so we have like our Bastion setup. So every time we want to connect to a specific VM, we can go to that respective VM's Bastion connect option, right? As you can see, currently we don't have any active session, it will show us empty. Now let's say if we go to specific VM where to find Bastion option. So there are ways to find that, one being in operations where you will always find the Bastion specific to your VM, right? Here you just have to give it the file and you are good to go, right? You will at least have to deploy the Bastion for your system, and that would be something you can go with. You don't even have to convert your key file into .ppk and pub just like you used to do with SSH. You just have to connected properly, and Bastion will allow you to open that particular Linux OS within browser, right? So that's one of those things you have to check with Bastion.